said court at said term that Brad Maximus Robertson, hereinafter called defendant, on or about the 13th day of June 2020 in the county of Dallas, state of Texas, did unlawfully then and there, intentionally and knowingly cause the death of Ambra Shante Brown, an individual hereinafter called deceased, by shooting deceased with a firearm, a deadly weapon, and further did unlawfully then and there intend to cause serious bodily injury to Ambra Shante Brown, hereinafter called deceased, and did then and there commit an act clearly dangerous to human life, to wit, by shooting deceased with a firearm, a deadly weapon, and did thereby cause the death of Ambra Shante Brown, an individual, against the peace and dignity of the state, signed the foreman of the grand jury.
Mr. Harris, how does your client plead?
Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Robinson is not guilty.
Thank you. You may be seated. Ms. Mitchell, will the state make an opening statement?
Yes, Your Honor. May I please report?
It does. You may.
Thank you. I want to take you back several years to 2020. That was the year of COVID. Late March was when things were really shutting down. If you recall, quarantining was happening, a lot of stay-at-home orders, people in close quarters for a lot of time with each other. You're going to hear about how on June 12th, 2020, so just a couple of months after those original orders had started coming out, people were opening back up, patios were a little bit okay to go to, outdoor events. So it's a couple months after, and you're going to hear about how Ambra Brown was dating Angela Abdul, Angie. And the two of them were dating. They lived together in a house here in Dallas County. You're going to hear about how Angie had actually recently inherited that house from her mom. And so the two of them were living in her mother's home. You're going to hear about how previously to this, Ambra's daughter, Jakaya, had also been living in that home for a period of time. And Angie's son, the defendant, Brad Robertson, had been living in the home for a time. Now, Brad and Jakaya are about the exact same age, born days apart. So at some point prior to this incident, prior to June of 2020, Angie and Jakaya had disagreement, okay? They'd gotten into it to the point where Angie said, she can't stay here anymore. Jakaya's got to go, okay? This happened well before the offense occurred. But on the night of the offense, on June 12th, Angie and Ambra had gone out to a concert. You're going to hear testimony about how Ambra's cousin was actually a country singer and was having one of the concerts outdoors, and how they went on the night of June 12th, came back, stopped and got food on the way, came back to their house, and at this point, Jakaya's not there, but Brad was there. And Brad was there with his 2-year-old, at the time, 2-year-old son, Caden. Okay? You're going to hear that they came home, they were going to eat their food, but that Ambra started talking about this whole living situation again with Jakaya, because now the room that Jakaya had been staying in, Angie had let Caden have, and Caden could stay in. That's her grandson. When he comes over, she said, I'm going to give him this room. He can stay there now because your daughter's not staying there. You're going to hear evidence about how this started a whole disagreement. It started an argument between Angie, and how at some point Ambra said, I'm going to the garage, I'm going to smoke cigarettes, I'm separating. But that at some point, Brad, who had been in the room with Caden, heard all of this, and he came out. And he started getting into it with Ambra. Okay? You're going to hear about how they started having a disagreement verbally, and then you're going to hear about how they actually were physically fighting, tussling back and forth. What you're going to hear then is from Angie. Angie is coming to testify, and she's going to talk to you about how she tried to separate the two of them, and how she in fact did think she had separated them. They're in the garage. She was walking back into the house through the garage, and how she heard pow, pow, pow. You're going to hear how she turned around. You're going to hear about how she saw Ambra on the ground, how she saw her bleeding, You're gonna hear testimony about how when Angie had inherited that house from her mother, she'd also inherited several guns from her mother, which she kept in the garage. Now, all of this is going to be presented to you through various witnesses. Like I said, you're already going to hear from Angie. You're also going to hear from several of the officers who responded. Angie called 911. You're going to hear from several of the officers who came, who saw the defendant, who saw Amber on the ground. You're going to hear about how she was transported to the hospital. You're going to hear about how she died the following day on June 14th as a result of gunshot wounds. You're going to hear from the lead detective who did some follow-up investigation. Now, originally, this case had just started as what we call a family violence case because Amber had not died, right? She didn't die immediately on the scene. So you're going to hear about how there was originally one detective from one unit, but then once Amber had passed, a different detective took over from the homicide unit. And you're going to hear from that homicide detective. Finally, you're going to hear from the medical examiner who performed the autopsy on Amber. And you're going to hear that Amber died as a result of homicidal violence in the form of 2 gunshot wounds to each leg. She bled out. And at the end of this testimony and all of the evidence, I'm going to come back up here. And all of the attorneys are going to come back up here and give closing arguments, but I'm specifically going to come up here. And I'm going to ask you all to find the defendant guilty. Because like Mr. Harris said yesterday in voir dire, generally murder cases are either a whodunit, kind of the murder mystery, where's the suspect, who was involved, or a why did they do it, right? And at the end of all of the testimony, there's no question about, this is not a whodunit, this is not one of those cases. There's no question about how Brad Robertson shot Amber Brown. The reason, this is a why done it. Was it justified? Was it self-defense? And at the end of all of the evidence, there's no doubt based on reason that you will find the defendant guilty. That this was an unnecessary argument that started over something trivial in the heat of COVID, summer, people living together in close quarters. You're going to hear that this was unnecessary violence that occurred. And you will find the defendant guilty. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mitchell. Mr. Harris, will the defense make an opening statement?
Yes, Judge.
You may.
First and foremost, I just want to say good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for your service. I know that there are a million reasons, like some of the other juries, that you could have given us excuses that would allow us to strike you from the panel. You didn't do that. You accepted responsibility for that. I thank you, and the Robinson family thanks you as well. But now, more importantly, it's time for the state to accept responsibility for the indictment. Again, in this case that they've alleged against Mr. Robertson. Again, I told you during the voir dire that in murder cases like this, it'll be why. We believe, again, what we say in the opening statement is not evidence. The evidence comes from the witness stand. And based on the evidence, we believe that when you hear all the credible evidence that comes from the witness stand, the why will be clear, that Mr. Robertson did exactly what he needed to do to protect himself under the circumstances. Ms. Brown and Ms. Abdul were in a toxic relationship. One thing we want you to remember is that that's Ms. Abdul's house. Ms. Brown is upset. The evidence is going to show Ms. Brown is upset because Ms. Abdul and her daughter get into it, and so she makes her daughter leave. Then he has the audacity to move in and bring his son in. Well, this upsets Ms. Brown. Now, I'm going to move on because I don't have a lot of time, but I'm going to get directly to that night. Again, they went to the concert. They are arguing about him and his son being there, her daughter being forced to leave Miss Abdul's house, okay? And Ms. Brown is upset. She's very upset. But what the evidence is going to also tell you, we believe the reason that she was so physically aggressive toward Mr. Robertson is that when you do see the ME report, you're going to see that she has traces of fentanyl, cocaine, and marijuana in her system. We believe that that contributed to the aggression that she showed to Mr. Robertson. When they are in that physical altercation, Mr. Robertson is going to take the stand. He's going to tell you that yes, he went in to try to defend his mom because they were arguing, went in to try to calm him down. Miss Brown is arguing with him inside the garage. It gets physical to the point where she takes a wooden bench, the tray table, and hits him in the head with it. Remember, I told you during the board iron that anything can be used as a deadly weapon. That you don't have to wait for a person to hit you again in the head with a wooden dinner tray. I think it's dinner tray. She hit him in the head with it. That's the physical altercation that we're talking about. At some point, they continue to argue. She grabs the table again as if she's going to hit him again. He's coming at him. He grabs the gun. I believe he's going to tell you exactly what transpired before he shoots, not to kill her. He's not trying to kill her. He's just trying to keep her off of him. He don't want to get hit in the head again. He's already seeing stars. So he protects himself. He doesn't shoot her. They're as close as we are. He doesn't shoot her center mass. He shoots her in the legs, trying to keep her off of him. Now, he's going to tell you when he fires, he's not even, she's coming, fires, then boom, boom. He's not even looking at her when he fires. That's what he's going to tell you. But he didn't even know he hit her until she said, "Oh, you shot me." He's going to tell you that he went in, got his son, trying to get his son, his 2-year son, away from all the chaos that was going on. Mom comes out, she's bleeding. He's telling her, "We need to get her to the hospital." The mom's like, "No, no, don't move her, don't move her." If they had just taken her to the hospital, we might not even be here. Not for murder. But the mom doesn't want to touch her because she doesn't know where she's hit. You're going to hear the 911 call from the mom. Telling you, "I don't know." No, she doesn't want to move her. Ladies and gentlemen, as you've heard all the evidence in this case, I believe the credible evidence is going to explain the why. That Mr. Robinson, under the circumstance, grabbed the pistol that was in the garage to defend himself, not to kill her. He fired what was immediately necessary. I think you're going to find that the gun had about at least 10 rounds in it, because there's still 7 rounds in the firearm, in the chamber, in the clip. There's still 7 rounds in the clip. When the police find it there in the garage, and he is going to tell you that he doesn't know what to do. He runs. He's going to try to get his son away from this whole chaotic situation. Tries to take him down to the neighbor. The neighbor's not there, so he comes back, and you're going to see him on. I anticipate you're going to see him on the body cam telling the police, "I was just trying to protect my mom. I was just trying to protect my mom. I was just trying to protect myself." He's going to explain to you, or you'll see what he told the police that night in regards to what he did to try to defend himself and why he did what he did. And after you've heard all the evidence in this case, ladies and gentlemen, again, I believe that you will find Mr. Robertson not guilty based on self-defense.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. All right, Ms. Mitchell, call your first witness.
State calls Angela Brown.
All right, ma'am, if you would please approach the witness stand. That's that seat right there. If you would please stop and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, if you would watch your step and you can take a seat. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Brown, before we start, there's a microphone in front of you, looks just like this. If you bend it down, perfect. All right, well, good morning, Ms. Brown. Would you please say and spell your full name for the court reporter?
Angela, Angela. Last name is Brown, Brown, Williams, Williams.
Now, do you know why we're here today?
Yes,
I'm just going to jump right into things. Who is Amber Nto Brown?
she's my big sister. She was a mother, an aunt, sister, daughter.
Let's back up a little bit. Tell me, what was Amber's birthday?
February 27th.
And how old was Amber on June 13th, 2020?
39.
Now, you said she's your older sister, is that right?
Yes.
Did the two of you have any other siblings?
Younger sister, Bree. She's 3 years younger than me. Another sister. It was 3 girls.
And you said her name was Bree?
Brianna Brown.
Brianna Brown. Tell me about your relationship with Bree and Amber.
It was all good. It was the 3 of us and our mom. We grew up. We all slept in the same bed, the 3 of us.
In the same bed?
Yeah, for the longest. So we were really close, the 3 of us.
3 girls growing up sharing the same bedroom?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I know you're saying, and I know what you mean by that, but for the record, we have to say yes or no.
Yes.
Because and are spelled the same way.
Okay. Yes.
So 3 girls growing up in the same house, in the same room. Is that a yes?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's all right. Are you a little bit nervous to testify today?
Yes.
Permission to approach court reporter?
You may.
Now, I've been saying Ms. Brown, but really you're Ms. Williams, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'm showing you what has been marked as State's Exhibit number 1. Who is this?
My sister.
This is your older sister who you've been testifying to the jury about?
Yes.
Fair and accurate representation of Amber?
Yes.
At this time, the state would offer State's Exhibit 1, tendering defense counsel for objection.
No objection, it's been previously tendered, Judge.
6 exhibit number 1 is admitted for all purposes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Permission to publish.
You may.
All right, now, tell me about what Amber is doing in this picture.
She's getting ready for work.
What did she do for work?
Customer service, either at FEMA or at the one helping people. Customer service, that's what she liked to do.
So I tells people customer service, and you said she worked in FEMA? Is that
At
correct?
FEMA,
At FEMA. How long did she do that for?
more than 5 years. Started when Hurricane Katrina hit, and she jumped right in to help out.
And now, we've been saying FEMA, and in case there's anybody who's not familiar on the jury with what FEMA is, can you just generally kind of explain that?
FEMA was a group that helped out the ones that were affected by the Katrina, the hurricane. So she was in customer service, taking claims and getting shelters set up and things like that. So that's what FEMA did.
Now, you've already mentioned that you had a younger sister as well, Bree. Did Amber have any children?
Yes, the daughter, Jakaya.
Okay, and how old is Jakaya?
She's 23.
What were some of Amber's interests or hobbies when she's not working?
Basketball. She loved basketball. Loved playing basketball. Watching sports. She loved to cook, but she cooked really slow, but she could cook.
She cooked really slowly.
She took her time, I would say. She took her time She likes to cook, loves sports, loves basketball.
Who was her favorite team?
I would say the Cowboys for sure.
The Cowboys?
Cowboys.
She have a favorite basketball team, or did she just like playing it?
I think she just like playing it. I wouldn't say a fave, more of a Cowboys fan.
I see. Now, on June 13th of 2020, at that time, are you aware of whether Ambra was in a romantic relationship with anyone?
Yes.
Who was she in a relationship with?
Angela, Abdul,
Does she go by Angie?
Angie. Yes.
Did you know Angie?
Yes.
Did you know her personally or just know of her?
Personally,
How did that come to be? How did you know Angie?
through Amber, they dated years before, and then they got back together, and they were together for a while, but she was always around, so I knew her very well. I was at the house all the time, I could go over there, and yeah, she was at family functions and things.
Did you also know Angie's son, Brad Maximus Robertson?
Yes,
Did you know him the same way personally or just know of him?
same,
You knew him personally?
personally, yes.
Now, do you see Brad Maximus Robertson in the courtroom today?
Yes,
Can you identify him by something that he's wearing, an article of clothing?
a light blue shirt with a dark blue and light blue tie.
And if I'm in chair 1 and my co-counsel is in chair 2, and so on and so forth, what chair number would he be in?
4.
At this time, Your Honor, would you let the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant in court?
The record will so reflect.
Now, you mentioned that Ambra and Angie had dated before, broken up, and that they were dating again June 13th. Is that correct?
Yes,
Where did they live?
they lived in Oakland in a house.
So I want to now talk to you specifically about June 13th of 2020. At some point, did you receive a call regarding something that had occurred to your sister?
Yes,
Where were you when you got that call?
I was home in bed asleep.
Who called you?
Angie, Angela Abdul.
And without telling anyone what she said, were you made aware of the fact that your sister had been shot?
Yes,
What was going through your mind when you got that call?
just in shock. I just wanted to know where she was.
Did you find out where she was?
I didn't find out until the next morning. I called all night, different hospitals to try to find her. And I didn't find her till the next morning. Yeah, Baylor, Dallas.
So eventually you did find out which hospital she was in?
Yes.
Once you discovered which hospital she was in, what did you do at that point?
I went there. I went up there.
Were you able to see her when you went up?
Yes, I saw her.
What date was that you went up there?
I can tell you.
Are you aware of what date Amber actually passed? June 14th of 2020? Yep.
Yes.
Permission to approach the court reporter.
You may.
Ms. Williams, I'm going to show you a photo that I would like you to very briefly look at, okay? And I would just like you to tell me if you recognize the person in this photo, okay? I'm just going to this time state what officer states to for record purposes only.
No objection, Judge, it's been previously tendered.
State's exhibit number 2 is admitted for record purposes only.
Ms. Williams, you said you were able to see your sister in the hospital, is that correct?
Yes,
At some point, was a decision made to take Amber off of life support?
yes.
Who made that decision?
Family, my mom and her daughter, Chicago.
Why was that decision made?
There was no drag activity. It was so bad. It was so bad. It was bad. It was really bad. She had blood coming from every hole, every single hole in her body was blood. They couldn't stop it. They couldn't get it to clot. They couldn't get the blood to clot. Her main artery was so bad. It was bad. It was really bad.
When you were seeing her, did you ever have a chance to talk to her? Did she get to speak with you at all?
No.
She never regained consciousness?
No.
You said that her daughter also was a part of that decision, is that correct?
Yeah.
What did that feel like to have to make that decision?
Hard. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Oh, I don't have any questions, thank you, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Williams, thank you. You are free to leave. Please watch your step getting down from the witness.
And Your Honor, I have conferred with defense counsel and would request that this witness be excused from the role from here on out to be able to watch the proceedings.
She may, the rule has not yet been invoked in the trial,
That's correct, Judge.
that she can stay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Call your next witness.
State calls Officer Joshua Radford.
All right, sir, if you would please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do, yes, ma'am.
Thank you. You may be seated. Please watch your step. And that microphone moves at the base, so you can move it. Thank you. And you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Officer Radford. How are you?
Good, and yourself?
I'm good, thank you. Would you please, before we start, state and spell your full name for our court reporter?
It is Joshua Radford, Joshua Radford.
Officer Radford, we see that you are in uniform. How are you employed?
City of Dallas police officer,
And how long have you been a police officer for the city of Dallas?
a little over 10 years.
Can you tell the jury about what kind of training, experience you have to go through in order to become a certified peace officer?
91 Police Academy, we go through everything, penal code, code criminal procedure, everything. We do a lot of scenario-based training. Once we get done with the academy, we are on FTO training for 6 months. We have to run around with a certified FTO,
What is an FTO?
Southfield Training Officer.
And the base, by the way, the base of this microphone can move. Will you pull it actually a little bit closer toward you? It might be me, but I'm just having a hard time hearing if you were just speaking in the mic. So field training officer.
Yes.
You have to ride on with a field training officer.
Yes, we have 3 different field training officers that are grading us on our ability to be a police officer. And we have to pass that, and if not, they'll put us up for remediation, and if we can't, then they'll terminate us at that point.
And so after you complete all of that, are you assigned to a unit?
Yes.
What unit are you assigned to?
So we have divisions, and I'm in the South Central Division.
What does that mean?
It's just, so we have seven divisions around the city, and so it's channel 1 through 7, and I'm in the South Central portion of Dallas, channel 7.
That's where your beat is, so to
That's,
speak?
yep, that's my area, yes ma'am.
And now, what unit are you assigned to currently?
Patrol.
What does patrol do?
I mean, we respond whenever you call. That's our day-to-day.
If someone calls 911, you're the first on scene.
Yes ma'am.
Okay. What shift does that mean? What shift do you work?
I work first watch, which is 9 P to 7 A.
Did you work last night?
Yes ma'am.
Okay, so you came straight to the courthouse?
Yes ma'am.
Okay. Well, I'll try to get you out of here. I want to direct your attention to June 13th of 2020.
Yes ma'am.
Were you assigned as a patrol officer with the city of Dallas that day?
Yes ma'am.
Did you respond to a call for service at 6033 Crosswood Lane?
We did, yes.
Is that in Dallas County,
Yes ma'am.
state of Texas?
Yes ma'am.
Person to first court reporter?
You may.
Officer Radford, I'm about to show you. I have to pause my talking because she was helping me out. I'm about to show you what have been marked as States Exhibits 3 and 4. What is States Exhibit 3?
Looks like the whole county of Dallas County.
Okay. Do you see a red balloon over a particular area?
Yes ma'am.
Are you familiar with that general area?
Yes ma'am.
What do we see in States Exhibit 4?
I zoomed in closer map of that location.
Okay. And when you say that location for the red bubble, is that 6033 Crosswood Lane that you just testified to the jury about?
Yes ma'am.
Do you believe that these maps fairly and accurately depict the offense location that you responded to the night of June 13th?
Yes ma'am.
Do you believe that they would assist the jury in understanding where in Dallas County we're talking about?
Yes ma'am.
At this time, State would offer States 3 and 4 tendering the defense counsel for objection.
No objection, Judge, they put a brief extended.
All right, States Exhibits numbers 3 and 4 are admitted for all purposes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Permission to publish?
You may.
Okay. Officer Radford, I'm showing you, I'm about to zoom out, but this is States Exhibit 3. So we're looking at Dallas, and we see this red balloon here.
Yes ma'am.
Is that your beat or your area that you patrol?
Yes ma'am.
And in States Exhibit 4, this is a closer up of a portion of that area, is that correct?
Yes ma'am.
Okay. And so we see 45, Highway 45 here, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and it looks like this is the cross of 45 and 20, is that correct?
Yes ma'am.
And is this the offense location that you responded to that night?
Yes ma'am.
Are you familiar with an officer named David Nto?
Yes.
Who is that to you?
Well, just up until recently, he was my partner for 5 years.
He is no longer your partner?
No, he stayed on days on our last bid, so.
I don't know what that means, but what does that mean?
So we have a bid to kind of change our schedules up if we want to, and I had the ability to get weekends off, so I went from days to nights, so. He wasn't able to get weekends, so he stayed on
I see.
days.
Okay. Well, at the time, was David Nto your partner?
Yes,
Did the two of you respond to this scene together
yes,
in the same car?
yes ma'am.
So when you first arrived on scene, first, what kind of call were you responding to?
It was a shooting call.
So when you first arrived on scene, what was the first thing that happened?
So when we first get there, I see an older gentleman kind of in the street, and he's pointing us to the house, the crossover house or crosswood house. And we park our vehicle, we get out, and a gentleman starts walking to us with his hands up, claiming that he had shot her. And so we kind of demand him to get on the ground, and he follows our commands, goes to his knees, still with his hands up.
What happened at that point?
Officer Nto walks around, goes to do a pat down search of him, to make sure there's no weapons.
Did Officer Nto find any weapons on him?
He did not.
So at this point, you responded to a shooting, you can't find a weapon, what do you do at this point?
So at that point, we went ahead and detained the gentleman because he just admitted to shooting someone to us. And so we're trying to figure everything out, so we went ahead and detained him because of the admission of the shooting.
Are you still working an active crime scene at this point?
Yes, ma'am.
Had anybody found a weapon at this point?
No, ma'am.
And so what happened next?
The gentleman told us he was involved in a fight. He told us where the gun was located, in the garage. Me and Officer Baggs stayed with the gentleman for a few minutes, trying to find a squad car to put him into. And then Officer Nto walked over to the garage area, and Officer Bigger as well, I believe.
Now, you kind of just summarized a lot of what happened, but I want to specifically talk about some of the things that the gentleman said to you. You said he was walking up with his hands up. First off, do you see that person in the courtroom today?
I did, yes.
Can you identify him by an article of clothing?
He's wearing a black coat, dress coat.
Okay. If I'm in chair 1 and my co-counsel is in chair 2, so on and so forth, what chair would this person be in?
Chair 4.
Did you, at some point during this whole scene, actually get identifying information and name of this person?
Yes,
What was it?
it was Brad Robertson.
At this time, Your Honor, would you let the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant in court?
The record will show it does.
So, Mr. Robertson is the one who was coming up to you with his hands in the air?
Yes.
I want to walk through some of the specifics he said. Did he tell you about what specifically had happened?
He said he got home, there was an argument that became physical, and he said he grabbed his mom's gun and he shot her.
Now, did he say that this woman, we keep saying her, she, did you know this person's name at this point?
No, ma'am.
So for the sake of this conversation, the woman is who I'm referring to
Yes, ma'am.
as the complainant.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. He said, he told you that they were fighting and that he grabbed the gun and shot her, meaning the complainant, correct?
Yes.
Now, did he say that the complainant had charged him?
Yes.
Did he say that the complainant had hit him with her hands?
Yes.
At any time, did he mention the complainant having a gun or other deadly weapon?
No.
Did he mention that the complainant physically assaulted his mother?
He did.
So after these statements are made, you said that Officer Nto went to collect the gun, is that correct?
Yes.
Were you there when Officer Nto collected the gun, or seized the gun?
Yes.
What all, after the gun was actually seized, did you and Officer Nto do?
So, after Nieto seized the gun, he checked it, by the serial number to make sure it wasn't a stolen firearm or anything of that nature. That's what we have to do every time we find a firearm. He then put the firearm in our car. We transported the witness that I said in the beginning was pointing at the house. We transported him up to headquarters to speak with the detective.
Okay. And after you had the two of you had transported him, do you remember his name?
I don't remember his name.
After you had transported him, what did you and Officer Nto do?
So we stayed up at headquarters for a little while, and then we figured out that we weren't gonna have to give him a ride back home. So at that point, we still had the gun in the back of our squad car, so we transported the gun to Officer Randy's crew, who was at the hospital where the complainant was taken. And we gave him the gun, and then that was the end of it for us.
Okay. Did you have a body-worn camera that night?
I did.
Permission to approach the court reporter?
You may.
Have you had a chance to review your body cam prior to testifying today?
Yes, ma'am.
Does it appear to be a fair and accurate portrayal of what happened that night?
Yes, ma'am.
Did there appear to be any deletions or alterations and modifications of anything?
No, ma'am.
Do you think that the body cam would assist the jury in understanding kind of what your testimony is summarized a little bit?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm also showing you, well, first I'll offer State's Exhibit 5, tendering defense counsel for objection.
No objection, Judge. Been previously tendered, Your Honor.
All right, State's Exhibit 5 is admitted for all purposes.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm now showing you what I've marked as State's Exhibit 6. Have you all, or what is this item?
That is Preston Bigger's body cam.
Who is Preston Biggers?
He's another officer that was on the scene with us. Can't be here today because he's on paternal leave. But
But he works the call with you?
yes, he was on the call with us.
In fact, do you see Officer Biggers on your body cam?
Yes,
Have you also reviewed Officer Biggers' body cam?
yes,
Do you see yourself on his body cam?
yes,
Fair and accurate representation of the scene as well that night?
yes,
Is this safe to say this is the same contents from a different perspective?
yes, ma'am.
Do there appear to be any tampering, edits, alterations, or deletions to this video?
No, ma'am.
Do you believe that this video would show the jury the same crime scene in a different perspective?
Yes, ma'am.
At this time, State would offer State 6, tendering defense counsel for objection.
No objection, Judge.
All right, State's Exhibit 6 is admitted for all purposes.
Permission to publish the videos, Your Honor?
Judge, may we approach?
Yes, you may.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Okay.
Do you want me to do that, Judge, or do you?
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the gallery, this is a body-worn camera of an active crime scene where there is a victim who had been shot. It is very important that you maintain your composure. There cannot be any outbursts. If you do not feel that you can maintain emotional control, I must demand that you leave now before the videos are played. But if you can maintain your composure, then you are welcome to stay.
Permission to publish, Your Honor?
You may, would you like a light?
Please, that would be great. Officer Radford, the sound on body cameras does not turn on until about 30 seconds into the body camera, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
That goes for all body cameras ever,
Yes,
is that
ma'am.
right? Okay. I guess I shouldn't say ever. In DPD,
Yes.
that's how all of your body cams work, okay. Now, this is Officer Biggers' body cam, and so right now, what are we looking at?
Steering wheel of a SWAT car. Appears to be lights on.
times and she kept charging him, sir. Like, I can't lie, I shot her one time in the leg. That was it, sir. She got into my mom, she fist me. Okay. Stepped up. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. You still with me? Can you tell me your name? You still with me? Come on.
Officer Radford, do you see yourself here?
Yes,
Which of these officers is he
the one to the left.
farthest left? And who is kind of standing behind you further in the garage?
That's Officer Nto.
Who you've been discussing previously?
Yes.
And I'm playing for the record at 6:49. Okay. For the remainder of 2 minutes.
Yeah. Have we talked to mom, grandma yet, or the other female that was out here? This one, okay. Is that 6033? No, right up here, right up top here. 6033. I was looking for it. Put the address at 6033 Ambrose. Go ahead, sir. Stand by, it's a side entrance. Nah, it's not gonna be Ambrose, it's gonna be Cross. That's why I told him 6033. He said it doesn't come up. It's front door. It's Crosswood or whatever the hell it is. Crosswood. I don't know whose car this is. Actually, a property bag condition. No. What's going on, Sasha? What's your story? Talking to Zippo. Alright.
Okay, so that's the end of that contact. At the very end, did we see you and Officer Nto? Nto was walking around looking for a property bag.
Yes.
Why was he looking for a property bag?
He had a pistol in his hand.
And that's the pistol you were talking about that he seized earlier?
Yes.
Okay. I also now want to shift, that was Officer Bigger's body cam, correct?
Yes.
I want to shift permission to publish State's Exhibit 5 now.
You may.
I'm going to shift to your body cam. And we've heard a little bit of that defendant's statements that you have previously testified to. Do we hear that again on your body cam?
Yes.
Once we get to that part, I'm going to play it through, officer, and then I'm going to pause it and ask you some questions, okay?
Okay.
Pause it just so I can let it.
ladies and gentlemen, please bear with us. Our video equipment is, gosh, over 10 years, 12 years old, and technology has far exceeded this current technology.
Yes,
Judge,
I
I'm not-
apologize, Judge, I think we have it now.
That's all right.
I'm trying to see if we can figure out how to get it to play out of the PA instead of just off the laptop. I don't know why it's not.
It just, you know.
Ready?
All right.
Hi.
This one, she came home to my mom, she was arguing with her. They came home, she was arguing with her. Stuff got physical, she said some words, me and her both got heated. She put her hands on me, so I grabbed my mom's gun. I hit her a couple times, she kept charging me, sir, and I can't lie, I shot her one time, I begged her. That was it, sir. She kept to my mom, she physically kept touching her, and I had to defend her with my mom's weapon. My mom can't, sir. Listen, what's gonna happen? I'm gonna put you in custody and put you in the car, just to figure out what's going on, okay? So I'm gonna have to put your hands behind your back for me.
Now, I'm pausing it here at 39 seconds in. We just heard the defendant come out and give you the statement that you previously testified to, is that correct?
Yes.
So I want to walk back. The defendant said he came home to his mom and she, meaning the victim in this case, were arguing, is that correct?
Yes.
He said stuff got physical, she said some words, and me and her both got heated. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
She put hands on me, so I grabbed my mom's gun.
Yes.
I hit her a couple times and she kept charging me, and sir, I cannot lie, I shot her one time in the leg, is that correct?
Yes.
He then mentions his mother being assaulted as well, is that correct?
Yes.
He said that the victim who had been shot got into it with my mom and she physically kept touching her, is that correct?
Yes.
So, for the record, I'm backing that up one more time, we'll play it through and then I'm gonna play the whole video here, okay?
Hi.
This one, she came home to my mom, she was arguing with her. They came home, she was arguing with her. Stuff got physical, she said some words, me and her both got heated. She put her hands on me, so I grabbed my mom's gun. I hit her a couple times, she kept charging me, sir, and I can't lie, I shot her one time, I begged her. That was it, sir. She kept to my mom, she physically kept touching her, and I had to defend her with my mom's weapon. My mom can't, sir. Listen, what's gonna happen? I'm gonna put you in custody and put you in the car, just to figure out what's going on, okay? So I'm gonna have to put your hands behind your back for me. Can I please get a shirt so I can move somebody else here about my room?
We'll get you over, okay?
I promise you. Please get a shirt. We're just gonna put you in custody real fast and we're gonna sit you in the car.
Yeah, leave some right there.
She doesn't even live here, bro. She's just my boyfriend, bro.
So, catch your breath, calm down, walk me through it again, okay?
Bro, they just got home, sir. My son is here on the day. I got my son for the weekend, bro. They just got home. My son's asleep, bro. I overheard them talking. They were arguing. So I took up on my son, and I was like, Mom, just let it go, okay? Just let it out. Literally, maybe 45 minutes ago, bro. Literally, bro.
You don't know who this lady is?
This lady is my mom's friend. This lady stays here, but she doesn't really live here, bro. She's her friend, bro.
Okay, can I get your name, Chief? Spell your last name for me? R-O-B-E-R-C-S. Slow down a little bit. I know you're rushing right now.
R-O-B.
R-O-B.
E-R-T.
E-O-T. That's first name?
Brad.
Brad?
Tell us I'm Brandy. Brad?
Yes, sir.
I'm Bradley. No.
What's your date of birth, Brad?
April 13th, 2001.
Hang on, let's see what Randy's got.
5 minutes. For the record, when you're saying why is he running, you're referring to another officer, correct?
Yes.
Not anybody involved in the
No.
case? Okay. And in just a few seconds, here at about 5:05, we actually see Officer Nto clearing the gun, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that Nto?
Yes. He said his mom's. Yeah. What's up? There's one here, one here. Oh yeah, no. Somebody pulled that baby gun out, like. Yeah, mom's inside. Yeah, it's his kid. Did anybody figure out why Randy ran?
Alright, stopping at 6:49. The rest of this video, you are dealing with the officer who was running, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Nothing else involving the actual case?
No, ma'am.
Your Honor, thank you. I am done publishing at this time. Okay. So, like I said, the last 45 seconds of that or so didn't have anything to do with the case, is that correct?
No, ma'am.
Okay. We see that you walked over to the complainant after you had spoken to the defendant. What did you observe most obviously about the complainant?
A lot of blood. Not a lot of movement. There was, I think, small little jitters, but nothing. No movement, no speaking, nothing. Just a lot of blood.
No speaking. Was she able to articulate anything that happened to you?
No.
Specifically, I know it sounds kind of like a silly question, but specifically, what kind of injuries has she sustained?
From what I observed, one shot to the leg.
Okay. Is a gunshot wound a serious bodily injury? Can that cause serious bodily injury?
Yes.
Based on your training and experience as an officer, can shooting a gun at somebody be an act dangerous to human life?
Yes.
Based on your training experience, even if you shoot someone in the leg, can that still be an act clearly dangerous to human life?
Yes.
Were you, well, let's see, you were there when the paramedics arrived, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
When you saw Officer Nto clearing the gun, is a gun a deadly weapon?
It is.
Did you see any other items of evidence at the scene besides the gun itself?
Just spent shell casings.
And I would you explain to the jury, what's the difference between, say, a spent shell casing and a live round?
A live round still has the bullet in it. The projectile that comes out. The spent is one that has had the bullet fired out of it. It's no longer any good.
So a spent casing is in layman's terms, a bullet that has been fired.
Yes.
Did a crime scene analyst come out and collect evidence or photograph the scene?
Yes.
Now, as the patrol officer, once you've worked the scene and cleared it, do you continue to investigate further after that, or does that go to someone else?
No, it goes up to a detective. They assign the case. And
Aside from working the scene and transporting the witness, taking the gun, was there any other involvement that you had on this case?
no, ma'am.
training and experience, does shooting someone with a firearm indicate an intent to cause serious bodily injury?
Yes.
We'll pass a witness.
Cross-examination.
Hello, Officer Radford.
Thank you, ma'am.
My name is Attorney Samaj Care. I'm just asking you a few questions just to kind of go back over what we all saw in States Exhibit 5 and 6. Mr. Robinson immediately approached you in the video, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
He didn't try to run away, flee the scene.
No, ma'am.
And when you and Officer Nto made the arrest, it was without incident, correct?
At that point, it was just a detention, but it wasn't an arrest at that
So
point.
when you detained him, it was without incident.
The incident, I mean, he admitted to shooting someone to us. That was our incident that we had at the time.
Right, but without incident, making an arrest or detaining, in a sense of he didn't try to pull away from you.
Oh, no, yeah, I'm sorry, yes, ma'am.
Right, okay, right, okay. So there were no issues when you
No.
attempted to detain him?
No, ma'am.
He followed your instructions,
Yes,
he
ma'am.
complied with everything you said?
Yes, ma'am.
He never lied to you about where the gun was?
No, ma'am.
He told you guys exactly where it was?
Yes, ma'am.
When you got there, that's where the gun was, right?
I don't know exactly where the gun was. My partner was the one who found it.
When your
so-
partner got there, your partner didn't tell you that he had to look for it?
No, he didn't tell me it was anywhere hidden or anything.
And Mr. Robinson explained that him and his mother were in a physical altercation, right?
Him and his mother's girlfriend.
Right, in a physical, it was a physical altercation going
Yes.
on, right? When he was talking to you with his hands up, he was explaining that there was a physical altercation.
Yes, ma'am.
And he explained that Ms. Brown had got into a physical altercation with his mom,
Yes,
right?
yes,
And that he also got into a physical altercation with Ms. Brown.
yes, ma'am.
And when you went inside the garage, you could tell there was a physical altercation inside that garage, correct?
I couldn't tell.
You couldn't tell there was a physical altercation?
No, ma'am.
But based on what we viewed on Exhibit 5 and Exhibit 6, your body cam video would show exactly how that garage looked, right?
Yes,
And at about 6.5 minutes, Attorney Mitchell paused the video for you to identify yourself and Officer Nto. And at the time she paused that video, you could visibly see a wooden tray table on the ground in the garage. Do you recall that?
I do not recall seeing it, no, ma'am.
You don't recall seeing a wooden tray table in the middle of the garage, right in front of a blue pool?
No, ma'am, I don't remember seeing it.
Okay. No further questions?
Any redirect?
Nothing good.
All right, may this witness be finally excused?
No
No
objection.
objections?
All right, thank you, Officer Radford, you're free to leave.
Thank you.
Go about your business, thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we've been at about an hour and 15 minutes. We'll go ahead and take our morning break. We'll be at recess for, I'll say 5 minutes, it'll really be more like.
All rise.
Oh, you may be seated.
Your Honor, may I go, park my next, make sure my next witness is here?
Good morning, young man. You can come on up. So these are some of the interns we have, and this is my son that I was talking about yesterday.
What's up, young man? You good? All right, you good. Your mom talks about you all the time. Good things, though, yeah.
I hope.
Is it locked?
Yeah. She said that she do.
I got it. Y'all don't want to stretch or nothing?
I'm standing.
I'm not in class.
These benches are so comfortable.
Sure. Need your son?
Well, I ain't seen you back there. I ain't seen that.
Look just like.
Two of these chairs, I think, go back to 265.
I guess I
Actually, four, probably four.
Look just like her.
You know? Man, it's gonna be a long day for me today and tomorrow. I'm trying to get my check, boys. $7,000 a pay period.
That's good enough for me.
I gotta work. Maybe later on I'll be like you.
But,
Right now I'm good. So far, so far. That's something else. Tell myself, if she's in the head twice, you're gonna get ready to get shot. Listen, what's up, friend? Ain't been no murder out there. I don't know if this doesn't, develop more, I don't see why they do it. I'm trying to do something. I don't try to grand jury, you get tired. I'm about to say, grand jury, I don't think we're gonna.
I guess we're gonna send our other ones back. They back there playing and ready to go.
I always tell them, I say, listen, man, I ain't be kicking on my doors, don't be beating on my door.
They ain't
There ain't
there.
nothing gonna happen until your attorneys come. I want you to understand that right now.
He pretty cool, but he just ready to go.
Right?
Getting ignorant of that.
You get dick?
No. I said, no, he took one, the other one, capital murder. Oh, so he was shooting a nigga.
this time, but he has it, and I didn't know if there was anything that you wanted him to do or not do before. Okay, do you happen to have gloves he can use?
Yes, I should.
You just wanna put it up here on the reporter's desk or we?
Yeah, if you wanna just leave it right here.
I hope these gloves are large, so I hope you ain't got no big hands.
No.
I'm gonna go to the restroom real quick.
Okay, and as soon as Keith gets in here, I'll talk to him. Thank you so much. Baby girl, yeah, did you sleep at all last night or no? Thank you. She called you? How old? Yes.
She said 5 minutes, she gonna say 5 minutes, but she said something always come up, so.
About 10 minutes.
About 15.
All right, I'm
I got something to discuss outside with you,
Oh, okay, okay.
stuff like that. It comes up all the time.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go get some coffee real quick.
But it ain't gonna start till you get that.
And then you guys went to, so, that's really good, that's all. You remember? Okay. And you were in. And so we backed it up, and I think that I'm going to show you for the event. Yeah, and you'll have to, so you can look. I mean, everything will be in front of you while you're. Yes, I'm going to. It's so terrible. I was like.
I'm here, Judge.
Yeah.
Yes, and if anything comes up, you must. Did you?
Judge.
Oh, there you are.
Oh, I heard you and I was like, I'm here, Judge.
All right.
He looks just like you. He looks just like you.
You think so? Oh, Deputy Sadler, that's Brett.
How you doing, Mr. Brad? Good. Trust me, you famous. We hear about you all the time.
Mia, I'm sorry to interrupt, but, this is Mia, she's Xander's cousin.
Oh, you're Sandy? Oh, okay, that's cool.
And this is my son, Brett Mulder, who went to kindergarten and goes to school with your cousin.
That's cool. Yeah, he just graduated.
So Mia is interning for this month.
Nice to meet you.
And then
One went for coffee, the other just
One to get what?
coffee.
Coffee?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, sorry, I said it right here. But it's also for record purposes, and then design students will come right after. She just tagged it all together, so she has another form, so when she comes, she'll, yeah, 'cause she has one form, and then she tags it for the other stuff. Tell me when we're done. Okay, you can do it. Oh, yeah, want me to put it on the benefits?
Mr. Harris.
I just, if we put it on the black, on the brown bag, and the brown bag. would be
Yes,
fine.
yes. I'm gonna go ahead and stick it,
Yeah,
so you can tell me where you want it.
They're going to go, he did good.
Okay, so where do you want it? Because I don't want to cover.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think that,
So that's good. Yeah, so this is what has the, well,
Oh, we just have
yeah. So that's the passage. So do you want me to sticker this sticker? Okay. Yeah, I just didn't want to sticker anything until you told me.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, you can sticker stuff, we just want you to separate with the number.
Yes.
Put the numbers on it. Yeah, no, that's good. I just, if we could use that to transport, that's fine.
Yes, yes, and I'm just gonna stick all that in there.
Yeah. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you. So legit, ones I could use.
I keep everything in.
Thank you. Oh.
All right. We're may be seated. Okay, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, welcome back. And I neglected to introduce our permanent court reporter, Mrs. Marissa Garza, former past president of the local certified shorthand reporters here in Dallas County, Texas, and she is the absolute best court reporter in this building. And she is so good that if you see me looking at my computer, I am not surfing the internet. I'm actually getting a live feed of her shorthand translated into English, so I can look and make sure that I've heard questions correctly and everything. So, all right, call your next witness.
The state calls Officer David Nto.
All right, sir, if you would please stop and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. You may be seated. You may proceed.
Thank you, Ryan. Good morning, Officer Nto.
Good morning.
Would you please state and spell your full name for the court reporter?
Sure, David Nto, N-I-E-T-O.
Officer Nto, how are you employed?
By the city of Dallas.
In what? Police officer, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And how long have you been a police officer for?
A little over 8 years for the city.
Okay. And Ms. Garza is taking down everything that we say, so I know normally it's, typical to try to answer the question for each other before you finish, but if you'll just make sure, I'll finish my question and I'll try my best to make sure you finish your answer before I talk over you, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And so how long had you been an officer? I'm sorry.
A little over 8 years.
A little over 8 years, okay. We've heard from an officer named Joshua Radford. Do you know who that is?
Yes, he used to be my partner.
And I hear that you didn't get weekends.
Correct.
I hear you drew the short end of the stick.
Yes.
All right. Well, what shift are you currently working then?
Day shift, 6 a.m. to 4 p.m.
6 a.m. to 4 p.m. And did you work yesterday?
No, ma'am.
What are you working currently?
I am employed currently, but I am on paternal leave.
Paternal leave. Is this your first baby?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, congratulations. All right. So I'll try to get you out of here as well. Let me jump directly to June 13th of 2020. Were you employed as a police officer with the city of Dallas that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you working with Officer Radford that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you respond with Officer Radford to a call for service at 6033 Crosswood Lane?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that in Dallas County,
Yes, ma'am.
state of Texas?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, when you first arrived, we've already heard from Officer Radford. At some point, were you trying to locate a possible weapon that had been used in this call?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell the jury about that?
So we had, I had gone to the call. There was a big, I won't say a big scene, but a scene where we had the defendant there, the victim there, and the garage was open. So it was, the scene was a little spread out, and we tried just to secure the scene. And upon that, I fell upon the gun in the garage on top of the vehicle.
You said you found a gun. What kind of gun did you locate?
It was a black handgun.
Is that a firearm?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that a deadly weapon?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, did the gun that you locate have a serial number on it?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember what it was?
713793.
Okay. I want to ask you kind of a silly question, but can a gunshot wound cause serious bodily injury?
Yes, ma'am.
Based on your training and experience as a police officer, can shooting a gun at somebody be an act that is clearly dangerous to human life?
Yes, ma'am.
Hypothetically, if you were just to shoot someone in the leg even, is that still an act clearly dangerous to human life?
Yes, ma'am.
You testified, I think, a minute ago to this, but when you found the pistol, where was it in relation to where the shooting had occurred?
It was inside the garage, on top of the trunk of the car, parked inside the garage.
Okay, and so what did you do when you saw the pistol?
Cleared it, make sure it was safe, and wait till crime scene can retrieve the weapon. Sometimes they can, sometimes they can't.
Okay, so I wanna back you up and we'll get to that in a second. When you say you clear it or you make it safe, what does that mean? How do you do that?
Take the magazine out of the weapon and clear any rounds inside the weapon.
And what's the point of doing that?
That way the pistol's not loaded or the firearm isn't loaded.
For safety reasons?
Yes.
And so, then you said that sometimes crime scene can come out right when you're there, sometimes they can't. In this situation, did you end up seizing the gun and putting it in a property bag?
Yes.
I wanna ask you, did you notice anything else, on the ground, or at the scene, when you were there?
Just the deceased that I remember.
Okay. After you seized and bagged up the gun, what did you do with it?
It usually goes into a vehicle, where the officer holds it, but since the scene was everywhere, we just possibly put it in the vehicle, my vehicle.
Your vehicle, okay. And what did you do after that, after y'all put it in a vehicle?
We just wait until we're assigned either to go to the hospital, go to headquarters, or go straight to the property.
Okay. And in this case, what did you did not take the gun to the property room yourself, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And explain that to the jury, who took it to the property room?
Officer Shakru took it to the property room.
Is Officer Shakru another officer who was on the scene as well
Yes, ma'am.
during the initial call?
Yes, ma'am.
Where was it that you actually gave the gun that you had seized to Officer Shakru?
Officer Shakru was at the hospital at the time, and that's where we gave him the gun.
Do you have gloves on you?
I do.
Okay. Permission to approach the court reporter, Your Honor?
You may.
Wait, please. Yes. Okay. Officer Nto, it's gonna be embarrassing a long time to put this on. You ready about your mom? You have a little more practice. Okay. I'm gonna show you what has been marked as States Exhibit 7 and 8. Would you please remove the items from this bag? Well, this one is States Exhibit, oh, you did. I'm marking this as States Exhibit 7, and what is this item?
This is a folder or an envelope that contains rounds of the weapon.
And do you see your name on this envelope?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you see an itemized list of the contents of the envelope?
Yes.
Is there an associated serial number for the gun associated on this case?
Yes, ma'am.
What is that?
It says M713793.
Is that the same serial number that you previously testified to
Yes, ma'am.
as being the serial number from the gun that you seized on the scene of that crime? Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And now, if you would unbag, and I'm showing you what I'm currently marking as States Exhibit 8. What is States Exhibit 8?
It is a Springfield black pistol.
Are there any unique identifying marks on that pistol?
It does have the serial number underneath the barrel here.
And what is that?
GM713793.
Same serial number that is located on States Exhibit 7?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that the same weapon that you seized on the day of the offense?
Yes, ma'am.
And how do you know that?
Because it's written here and then I saw it firsthand.
And you saw it firsthand and your name is on it, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
What is the property tag? You've already discussed to the jury the serial number of the gun, but what is the actual property tag associated with the gun?
It is 179581G as in golf.
And you recognize this to be the weapon that you seized and provided to Officer Shakru?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you aware of how this got to court today?
Yes.
How?
Pulled from the property.
And transported by another officer?
Yes.
At this time, the state would offer states 7 and 8 for record purposes only.
No objection, Judge.
All right, States Exhibits 7 and 8 are admitted for record purposes.
And Officer Nto, I'm now showing you what I'm marking as states 9 through 12. What are these?
Photographs of the firearm.
Are they all photographs of the firearm?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And how do you know that those photographs are the same firearm that we just talked about in States Exhibit 7 and 8?
The same serial number is in the photographs.
And again, are all of these photos of the gun that you collected at the scene?
Yes, ma'am.
Do any of the items in states 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12 appear to be tampered with or changed in any way?
No, ma'am.
Do they all appear to be in the same condition that they were on the day of the offense when you seized the gun and saw it in person?
Yes, ma'am.
At this time, state would offer states 9 through 12 for record purposes.
No objection, Judge.
All right, States Exhibits 9 through 12, the photos are admitted for record purposes only.
Thank you, Judge. Officer Nto, you worked the call with Officer Radford, but was your primary role in seizing the gun this night?
It wasn't, but it ended up being. Yes, ma'am.
It wasn't when you were en route, is that correct?
Correct, yes, ma'am.
But that ended up being what you predominantly did, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
We'll pass the witness.
Cross-examination.
Thank you, Judge. Officer, did you arrive there, I guess, sometime shortly after Officer Radford, or y'all arrived together?
Riding together, sir.
All right, so when y'all arrived together, y'all would have saw, you recognize Mr. Robertson, right?
Yes.
And again, he's out there, y'all tell him to get down, he gets down, correct?
Yes.
And he's rambling about what happened, right?
I couldn't tell you what he was saying, sir.
Did you not?
I don't recall what he was saying.
You didn't see the body cam?
No, sir.
You had body cam footage too, didn't you?
I should, yes, sir. I did have a body cam on, yes, sir.
Okay, so you don't know what he was saying?
No.
But do you recall him saying stuff got physical?
No.
May I approach the judge?
You may.
You were inside that garage, right?
Not the whole time, no, sir.
I'm saying at some point, he directed you to where the gun was, inside the garage, didn't he?
I don't know if he directed me or not, sir. I don't remember.
Okay, all right. This is 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
All right, may I approach the judge?
Yes, and you have to answer out loud, yes or no, because
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
look the same. Thank you.
And Officer Nto, I'm not trying to trick you. This ain't no cross-examination stuff. I'm just trying to ask what you remember, okay?
Yes, sir.
Jeff, let me show you what's marked as defense exhibit number 1, all right? Again, does that appear to be the garage that you went into on the date of the shooting?
Yes, sir.
And do you actually see the vehicle that you would have recovered the firearm from?
Yes, sir.
And which vehicle is that?
This one, sir.
Okay. And so, again, this isn't exactly how the scene appeared when you were there because Ms. Brown was still there, correct?
Yes.
But this does show that garage and its contents.
Yes, sir.
And you're familiar with evidence placards, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
Do you see 2 evidence placards in here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Judge, I'll offer what's marked as defense number 1.
No objection.
All righty.
Yeah, but, and again,
Hold on, Mr. Harris, excuse me. Defense exhibit number 1 is admitted for all purposes.
thank you, Your Honor. Permission to publish?
You may.
Thank you. Thank you. And again, quickly, I'm just trying to make sure, when you get out there, He's rambling, hysterical, would you agree with that?
Yes,
Miss Brown is actually lying near what we see here, this pool of blood, right? In this area, right?
yes,
When you guys get there, do any of y'all try to provide aid to her?
from what I recall, the ambulance and, their personnel was already working on her.
Okay, all right, but that's not your job. Y'all are waiting for paramedics, but you're not there to put a tourniquet on, right?
Sometimes, yes. If the situation calls for it, if I'm the only one there, yes, sir.
All right,
But at this particular case, when I arrived, I remember the fire rescue working on the deceased while I approached.
okay. And earlier you referenced the vehicle that you got the firearm from. Was that this vehicle here?
Yes,
All right, and that's the firearm that we just submitted into evidence for record purposes?
yes,
All right, and I just want to make sure I'm clear. When you don't recall Mr. Robinson telling you that things got physical?
no,
All right. Well, stuff got physical.
I don't recall.
All right. But this is how that garage appeared, is that correct?
Yes,
All right, and I'm gonna just, how do I do this? There we go. I'm just gonna zoom in. And just if you recall, this is a wooden tray, isn't it? Just if you recall, if you don't know what it
I
is.
don't know what it is, sir.
All right, but this object was in that garage.
I personally don't know if it was or not, but I assume so because of the crime scene photo.
Okay, that's fine. That's fair. And those objects that we see that say 2 and 3,
Yes, sir.
are those commonly referred to as what, evidence markers?
Yes, sir.
All right, and that would be probably placed there by a crime scene person?
Yes,
All right, you have nothing to do with it?
no, sir.
All right, but this photo does fairly and accurately depict, I guess, what the garage would look like when you were there.
Yes, sir.
All right, absent Miss Brown.
Yes, sir.
All right. That's all I have. Thank you, officer.
Yes, sir.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
May this witness be finally excused.
No objection.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, sir. You're free to go back home, take care of your day.
Thank you.
Watch yourself. Thank you. Call your next witness.
State Constable Nicole Mejia.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated. Please watch your step. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Would you mind just setting the box on the ground, or I can take it just so the jury can see you? Permission to approach,
You may.
Your Honor. See. Would you please state and spell your full name for the court reporter?
It's Nicole Mejia, N-I-C-O-L-E-M-E-J-I-A.
And how are you employed?
I am currently an analyst with the Dallas Police Department Crime Scene Unit. But I started off as a crime scene tech and crime scene analyst, so I've been there about 16 years and 8 months.
Okay, so this is a relatively new role for you in Niven.
Yes,
Are you enjoying it?
yes I am. I'm in the middle of training right now.
Yes, sorry to pull you away from that.
That's okay.
Okay, so focusing on your crime scene experience, you said you were doing that for about 15 years, is that right?
16 years.
16 years, I apologize. So what kind of training and experience do you have to go through in order to be a crime scene analyst?
I currently have a Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice with a minor in biology. Upon entering the crime scene unit, I was given 10 weeks of training. That's including course training and in-the-field training. And when I started off as a technician, I worked property crimes, which are, I responded to residential burglaries, burglaries of motor vehicles. I did that for about 4 years. And then transferred up to crime scene analyst. When I transferred over, I received more training. And then I answered crime scene as persons calls, which are robberies, assaults, and homicides.
So I want to direct your attention to June 13th of 2020. What unit or duties did you have at that time?
I was a crime scene analyst.
Yes, and if you want to move the base of that mic, yes, there you go. Hopefully there's not as much feedback. Did you get called that day to work a crime scene at 6033 Crosswood Lane?
Yes.
Is that in Dallas County,
Yes.
state of Texas?
Yes.
And when you first got to the scene, what did you do?
I met with responding officers who advised me of the incident. They said that the complainant, I believe her name is Ms. Brown, was transported to the hospital with injuries, and they then kind of showed me around the scene, which I believe happened partially in the garage and driveway of that residence location.
Was there anything upon immediate, obvious observation that you saw that had evidentiary value?
Upon my walkthrough with responding officers, I noticed some fire cartridge cases. They did advise me that they received consent from the actual owner of the residence to enter that part of the garage. There were some fire cartridge cases on the ground of the garage, and I observed some apparent blood. That's where they advised me that's where the complainant had fallen and was retrieved by DFR.
Okay. Did you see any other items aside from the fire cartridge casings and blood?
A pair of pants, and I believe there was an empty backpack on the driveway. Officers later advised me that they did have the firearm in their custody. I met with that officer, photographed the firearm. They had already cleared it and made it safe prior to my arrival.
Did you actually then take steps to collect any of these items?
Yes.
What is the normal process you go through when you're collecting an item of evidence?
Prior to collection, I do my overall photographs of the scene. Then I kind of zero in on the items of evidence that I'm looking to collect. So that would be like mid-range photos and then close-up photos. I then place evidence markers on those items that I'm going to collect and then redo the photos overall mid-range and close-up before actual collection.
And did you take photos in this particular case?
Yes.
Permission to approach? Okay, all right, I'm showing you what has previously been offered for record purposes as States Exhibits 9, 10, 11, and 12. Do you recognize these photos?
Yes.
What are they?
The photographs of the firearm that I photographed at the scene.
You photographed that firearm, is that correct?
Yes.
And then I want to show you what has just been marked as States Exhibits 13 through 28. Would you take a look at those? Do you recognize all of those?
Yes.
And what are they?
Those are the photographs of the scene that I took.
And for all of these photos, including photos 9 through 12, do you remember these to be accurate as to how they were that night of the offense, the night that you went out there?
Yes.
Do they appear to have been edited or altered in any way?
No.
Do you believe that it would assist the jury in fairly and accurately understanding more about how you lay out markers and work a scene?
Yes.
Okay. At this time, state would offer states 9 through 12 for all purposes and 13 through 28 for all purposes.
No objections, Judge. They've been previously tendered to the defense.
All right, thank you. State's exhibits 9 through 12 are now admitted for all purposes.
Permission to publish?
Yes. And I'm sorry, did you also offer 13 through 28?
Yes, Your Honor, or if I didn't, I can reoffer them now.
You,
I would reoffer them. I did not.
yes, state's exhibits 13 through 28 are also admitted for all purposes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Permission to publish all of them? All right, I'm showing you State's Exhibit 9. And what do we see in State's Exhibit 9?
That's the close-up of the firearm, brand, make, model, and serial number.
Okay, make, model, and serial number, and that's a unique serial number on the weapon, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. State's Exhibit 10, what do we see here?
It's the same firearm with the slide pullback, the cartridge case that was in that chamber, and the magazine.
Okay. State's Exhibit 11, is that the serial number again?
Yes.
And that's a unique identifying number, is that correct?
Yes.
State's Exhibit 12, what is that?
The cartridge cases from that magazine.
Now we're going to go to State's Exhibit 13, and I believe this might be similar to Defense Exhibit 1-ish, but what is this area?
The overall photograph of the driveway and the open garage.
Okay. This time, we don't see any evidence markers or anything in there yet, is that correct?
Correct.
You testified that your practice is to take photos first of everything before you're laying stuff down, is that right?
Yes.
Is this one of these photos, State's Exhibit 13?
Yes.
What's State's Exhibit 14?
The more of a mid-range photograph of where I was told the complainant was found.
State's Exhibit 15?
It's more of a close-up photograph of the interior of the garage.
Sure. State 16?
Photograph of the area where cartridge cases were found.
State 17?
A close-up photograph of that, of apparent blood and cartridge case.
You said apparent blood. Do we see that here?
Yes.
Okay. And then you said cartridge casings. Do we see that toward the middle center of the photo?
Yes.
And then what is this item here in the, like,
With like a folding table,
a folding, maybe a TV tray?
TV tray.
Okay. State's Exhibit 18. Now, what do we see here in State's Exhibit 18 that's different than what we saw previously?
I have laid out the evidence markers.
Okay. And do we see them numbered 1, 2, 3?
Yes.
Okay. Now, it's kind of hard to see in State's Exhibit 18, but in State's Exhibit 19, can you actually see a 4th marker that's kind of hidden by this cooler?
Yes.
State's Exhibit 20, what is that?
The close-up of item number 2, cartridge case.
State's 21.
It's a close-up photograph of the same fire cartridge case.
State's 22.
And then that's the photograph of the head stamp of item number 2, the fire cartridge case.
State's 23. What do we see there?
Mid-range photo of items 3 and 4, fire cartridge cases.
State's 24.
The close-up of number 3,
State's 25.
and the head stamp of number 3.
And finally, State's 26.
Close-up of number 4.
Okay, and we also see more here. This is a better shot of the apparent blood, correct?
Yes.
And this, what we will call TV tray.
Yes.
Okay. State's 27.
Close-up of number 4.
And State's 28.
The head stamp of item number 4.
Okay. And we saw placard 1. I did not show close-up images of placard 1, but what was placard 1?
I believe it was a cell phone.
And that was outside of the garage, correct?
Yes.
And just as a reminder, this is State's Exhibit 18. We see placard 1 here next to a cell phone.
Yes.
Okay. Whose phone was it determined to be?
I do not know.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that you did not collect a gun, but you did collect some fired cartridge casings. Is that correct?
Yes.
In your 16 years of experience as a crime scene analyst, have you ever responded to calls where you swab DNA or blood or fingerprints?
Yes.
Okay. And did you do that in this case?
No.
And why not?
From the information that I received from the responding officers, it was apparent that there was one victim and that they had an alleged suspect already in custody.
After you collected all the items, what did you do?
Placed them in individual bags, labeled them with the item number that I had assigned to them on scene. And then from there, I responded back to the headquarters, and I believe I met with detectives and requested a GSR of the suspect.
You said GSR. What does GSR mean?
Gunshot residue.
Okay. After you had, did you collect GSR?
Yes.
Okay. After all that, what did you do?
I, in turn, we have a locked evidence room in our office or in our laboratory where I place all my labeled items on my assigned shelf. And then I believe a couple of days or a day later, go in and package the items with tag numbers and my seals and property tags.
Okay. You just pointed at the items. Permission to approach the court reporter? You may. Do you happen to have both of them?
Yes.
You do? Okay. Okay. All right, I'm showing you what has just been marked as State's Exhibits 29 and 30. What is State's Exhibit 29?
This is the number 7 envelope that I placed each individual Ziploc bag with holding a fire cartridge case. And it's a property tag with the assigned number, the date of the incident, case number, the offense, and my name and badge.
Okay, all of that information is on this envelope?
Yes.
All of your identifying information, as well as the case information, correct?
Yes.
What is in State's Exhibit 30? Does it also have a Dallas Police Department property tag on it?
Yes.
What kind of information is on that one?
The same date of the incident, case number, the offense, my name and badge, and the items in the box, which is one pair of pants.
Okay. Does it also have the same case number and your name, other identifying information?
Yes.
Okay, I'm showing you what has previously been admitted for record purposes only as State's Exhibits 7 and 8. Do you recognize these items?
Yes.
What are they?
That's the firearm that I photographed on scene, and I believe in here would be the cartridges from the magazine.
do these have the same case number on them as in States Exhibits 30 and 29?
Correct, yes.
So what does that indicate to you?
That these are all related from the same scene.
Okay, from the same scene that you personally went to, is that correct?
Yes.
And while you did not collect the gun, you personally photographed it and recorded the gun serial number and item number, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. How did all of these items get to the courthouse today?
I brought them in.
From where?
Our property room.
Do all of these items, does the gun, does the gun appear to be tampered with, edited, some way altered since how you saw it?
I don't know, I believe that they would probably have test fired the firearm. But as far as anything else, no.
Okay. Aside from any investigative firings, does it appear to have been in the same condition as when you saw it that night?
Yes.
Okay. Now I'm showing you State 7. Will you open that up and tell me what's in that?
Those are the 7 cartridges that I photographed.
And you photographed the tops of them as well, correct?
I don't believe I photographed the top of them, I think I laid them out.
Next to the magazine?
Next to the magazine, yes.
Do they appear to have been tampered with in any way?
No.
They appear to be the same items that were located in the photos that have all, already been entered for all purposes?
Yes.
Okay. If you would now open States Exhibit 29. And what is in States 29?
Those are the individual Ziploc bags of cartridge cases that I collected from the scene.
And these individual bags also have the case number and tag number on them, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do these appear to have been edited or altered or tampered with in any way?
No.
Okay. Do they appear as they were on the scene when you collected them?
Yes.
Aside from being in bags?
Yes.
And finally, will you open States Exhibit 30?
That had blood on it?
Oh, is that why there's a hazard?
Yes.
Photo on it?
Yes. It should be in a paper bag.
No, don't pull it out. Just for yourself. And all of these have been sealed with evidence tape that you're cutting through right now, is that correct?
Yes.
Inside of the box, we have a bag that's also marked hazardous, correct?
Yes.
Does it have other identifying information like the case number, tag number, etc.?
Yes.
Same case number, tag number that is on all of these other items, is that correct?
This has its own tag number, but has the same case number.
Why does it have its own tag number?
Because it was a pair of pants and not firearms evidence. So this, had it been tested or used anywhere else, it would be easy for that to go on its own.
Do y'all mark gun tags, for example, with a G?
Yes.
And other items of evidence, for example, this will not have a G on the tag, correct?
Correct, and this has a B.
Okay, what does B stand for? All right, at this time, and you brought these as well to the courthouse, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. At this time, state would offer states 7 and 8, which for all purposes.
Is there any objection?
No objection, Judge.
All right, States Exhibit 7 and 8 are admitted for all purposes.
And state would offer states 29 and 30 for all purposes.
No objection, Judge.
All right, States Exhibits 29 and 30 are also admitted for all purposes.
Permission to publish?
You may.
State's Exhibit 8. Publishing State's Exhibit 7. These are the live rounds. We're looking here at the property tag, correct?
Yes.
State's Exhibit 29. Now these are a little bit trickier to see because they're obviously in bags that have been written on and identified. But those are the 3 fired cartridge casings, is that correct?
Yes.
And finally, we've got State's Exhibit 30.
There's a lot on top here, so.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right. Now this has a hazard material, right?
Yes.
So I'm not going to fully take this out, Officer Nto, but you recognize these as well, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, obviously the bag has the rest of the clothing in it, correct?
Yes.
Okay. But we can see that there is discoloration between the pants, is that correct?
Yes.
And what is all of the red that we're seeing?
That would have been parent blood.
And you photographed that as well, correct?
Yes.
We'll pass witness.
Cross-examination.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon, Ms. Mejia. How you doing? All right. My name is Michael Mendoza. I'm going to touch on some other issues, but also rehash some of what you mentioned on the direct examination. But first off, what time did you get called to appear on the crime scene?
May I refer to my report?
Yes, that'll refresh your memory?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's see, I was dispatched at 3:29 a.m. I got there around 4:29 a.m.
And was the injured party, Ms. Brown, present at the scene when you arrived?
No, sir.
And you don't have any direct personal knowledge of what happened prior to your arrival, correct?
I was not given the full story of what had happened. All I was told was somebody was injured and transported to the hospital.
And this was like on dispatch? On a
The
radio?
responding officers on scene advised me.
Okay, but prior to arriving on the scene, you had no direct knowledge of what took place?
No details of what transpired, no.
And now, when you arrived on the scene, had a perimeter already been set up for the crime scene?
I don't recall if I saw evidence tape, but there were several responding officers on scene.
Okay. And so you essentially, you worked within that established, I guess, for lack of a better term, that established perimeter, correct?
I was advised that was where this incident was reported to have occurred, so I focused on that driveway and garage.
Okay. And if necessary, would you ever, in the event that it was necessary, would you expand the perimeter?
If it was necessary, yes.
Under what circumstances would you?
If information came out that the incident occurred in the front yard, or around the corner of the house, or maybe inside the house, then we would have done more, but I was told it occurred right there.
Okay. And as you said on direct examinations of the prosecutor, you have about 16 years of experience?
In the crime scene, yes.
And that's with various crimes like robbery, assaults, homicides?
Yes.
So I take it that you have extensive experience working with shell casings, correct?
Not, just collecting and identifying them, yes.
Okay. And you testified on direct examination that you recovered a total of 3 cartridge casings, correct?
Correct.
Okay, not 4 or 5 or 6, 3.
3.
Okay. And you also have in your possession, as you see here on the projector, those 7 unused pieces of ammunition, correct?
Yes.
And those were located in the magazine?
In the magazine of the firearm that the officers had already collected, yes.
Okay. Now, the jury may not be 100% familiar with how tough it can be working a crime scene investigation, investigating a crime scene. So can you kind of describe to the jury all the efforts you made to ensure that there were no further shell casings?
After I collected the initial 3 shell cases, I conduct like a final walkthrough before I leave the scene, and did not discover any other fired cartridge cases.
Okay. And I want to touch back on inside the garage, the wooden tray that you took multiple pictures of. I think specifically like in States Exhibit 17, they had that close-up shot.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Permission to approach the witness, Judge?
You may.
And for the record, I'm showing the witness, States Exhibit 18, which is can you describe the States Exhibit 18, ma'am?
That would have been the overall photograph of the driveway and garage with my evidence markers.
And what you have tagged there is number 3. Can you describe what that is to the jury?
I believe that was a fired cartridge case.
Okay, and, sorry, behind it, right there.
Oh, behind that would have been the folding TV table.
Okay. Now, since you took multiple pictures of that, I guess, TV tray, as the prosecutor said, did you feel like it had some relevancy to this incident?
No. There were several items in that garage. There's a cooler and there's some other items there in the middle, so I just figured it was just part of general garage items.
But you took multiple pictures. If I'm not mistaken, you took about 3 that the prosecutor just put on display, correct?
I believe she did.
Give or take 3.
Sure. I took photos of it because it had droplets of what appeared to be apparent blood, and it was next to the fired cartridge cases.
Right. So would you kind of infer that this may have some relevance to what took place here?
I did not draw that conclusion, no. I collected the fired cartridge cases because I was told she was shot. That was the story I had.
And only because you saw the blood drippings on that tray, you decided to just take a picture, 2 or 3 pictures of that, correct?
Because there was blood there and blood out here, so, I figured it was part of the actual incident.
Okay. 1 second. we'll be back. And in reference to that wood tray again, you don't know how it got there, but it was laying there on the ground?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And how long were you on the crime scene for, if you could kind of give an estimation?
Cleared the call at 5:06 a.m.
So it's about maybe about an hour, hour and a half maybe? You said you arrived there at 4:29 a.m.?
Yes.
Okay. Pass the witness, Judge?
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
May this witness be finally excused?
No objection.
No objections, Judge?
All right, thank you. Thank you, ma'am. You're free to leave and go about your business. Please watch your step. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is now 12:14. We will go ahead and take our lunch break. Please remember your instructions not to discuss any of the testimony that you've heard with each other or anyone else. You are free to stay and eat in the jury room if you want to, or you can go down to the cafeteria. If, you are free to leave and go to the Burger King or McDonald's up the street. Just make sure you're back in the jury room no later than 1:15 p.m. We are at recess.
All rise.
And if the attorneys could stay for just a minute. All right, you may be seated. If I could see the attorneys really quick. That's all right, Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry.
I will. That's fine. Oh, no, no worries. Worries? No worries. Oh, no, this is all pro bono.
Thank you.
All right,
Judge.
y'all have good lunch. Thank you. I know.
This is the envelope. Yeah.
And that was back. That was Monday.
Thank you, thank you.